what these guys are talking about,
All right,
so they
all your
don't
mics are
get a
on.
call from the chairman of the board again.
Oh, and you need.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you.
I almost
Oh,
forgot
yeah,
about
no.
that.
Right?
Yeah,
Your
no.
mics are hot. So we've got right now. We've got 7 people watching, and 6 of them are in here.
I'm not watching.
Oh, okay.
Why would
We've
I
got 7
watch?
people. Well, if you shared it,
I haven't even gotten that far yet.
so
I'm behind it.
Joe said the record was 31 people live.
Yeah, now I'm gonna go on and add a
Dale's
few
going
real
to
quick.
put us over the top. Dale's going to.
I don't know.
He's
we'll
going to put
see.
us over the top.
Oh, now we have 2 shares.
I did it.
All right.
You shared it?
I
Oh.
shared it.
Minute before we're live on the radio.
On the radio.
Okay, outstanding.
Okay, I'm sharing
And
it.
now your headsets.
The shopping event of the season, the Southern Christmas Show, November 9th through 19th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Naughty or nice.
I should just do my job.
Just
Know your role, son. Know your role.
One-of-a-kind gifts for everyone on your list. Buy tickets.
Did I tell you the new key to not listening to Devin, Brad?
Oh my God.
Just get out of the room.
No, you put your headphones on and turn the volume off.
Oh, wow. It's
You know
good.
what I
Noise
use them for
canceling.
is when we come back from
Noise
the
canceling
break.
headphones. What? I can't hear you.
I see your lips moving, but I cannot hear the words coming out of your
I
mouth.
don't know what you're saying.
If
Sunny
I'm
skies as you head through the rest of the afternoon. That high temperature is going to be up near 81 degrees.
Devin.
Devin.
Evening, there is
We
a
can hear
20%
this.
chance.
Gosh.
Well, I couldn't. No one wearing the headphones.
Oh, my God.
A brute, like a bull in the china shop.
Mics are off. Mics are off.
From the WSIC Weather Center.
Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Well, good afternoon.
Greetings, salutations. Happy Veterans Day to you, sir.
It is.
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
prom week for veterans.
Yeah.
It's all the stuff and the galas and the balls and the breakfasts and the celebrations and,
And I got a new Alive Day.
you got a new Alive Day.
Yeah.
Oh, is that today?
No. Well, the
it's
original
next
Alive
week.
Day is next week, but
Oh,
I
you
got a new one.
Alive
I got
Day.
a new Alive
All
one
right,
because
let's hear the story.
I
There's-
survived the ride with Paul.
No,
Oh,
Paul, so
gosh.
for everybody knows that Paul Cockrum is a Marine Corps. He's the worst driver that has ever gotten behind the wheel. He should not be allowed to have a driver's license. Is that what you're saying?
Not only is that what I'm saying, but I think it's why we got a special guest on the show today who is actually a race car driver.
An actual race car driver. We have fired Paul.
We have fired Paul. I've
Oh.
got a new
Now,
plan driver.
I don't know the last time you checked that race car drivers can tend to be a little erratic behind the wheel as
Yeah,
well.
but so it's not about being erratic behind the wheel, chap. It's about going the same direction as every other car on the road at the same time.
There was some mention of that not being what happened with your last trip.
It is what happened on the last trip. There were hundreds of witnesses, and the police officer couldn't get turned around to go the wrong way down the right way on the road.
So you're telling me that the Marine had you going the wrong direction.
Backwards on the interstate.
In reverse?
In reverse, backwards on the interstate because he missed his ramp. He backed up a mile.
Okay, you answered the why question.
Yes.
He backed up a mile.
A mile.
Because he missed his ramp.
entire
which
mile?
begs the
An
question.
entire mile. Ramp and all, an entire mile.
Holy smokes.
Begs the question.
See, even a race car driver's shaking his head. He even knows that this is wrong. This is wrong for a Marine.
That begs the question. What happened to the navigation system that tells you when to get off of a
Well, we
ramp?
weren't supposed to. He didn't miss his road. There was a traffic jam ahead. And so when he saw the traffic jam, he decided that he did not have to abide by the laws and he was not going to sit in the traffic jam.
He
I wanted to
improvised.
get out. I wanted to get out and walk, but I was afraid, when you're going backwards, it's like the old suicide doors. You can't just jump out.
right.
The door would hit you.
would hit you and
I
you'd
could
be under
not
the
back
car.
out.
That
He was
Yes,
a hard-charging
I was-
Marine. He improvised. He
stuck.
adapted. He overcame.
My fingerprints are permanently embedded in the dash.
It's like that old Trains,
Wow.
Planes, and Automobiles with John Candy and
It would have been
Steve
better.
Martin.
That would have been
Where
better.
Your fingers are
Yep,
stuck into the
catching
dash.
the car on fire.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it
that's
would've been better.
outstanding. Well, that for
That's
I-
terrible.
it was kind of more
terrible.
like Tommy Boy. It was really more like Tommy Boy, right? All of a sudden you got a deer in the car, and, it's tearing the car apart. I was ready to get out.
fat guy in a little coat. So, all right.
Wow.
So happy birthday, Marines. We
Yep,
love you, even though
hoorah.
you scare the heck out of us.
Hoorah. Right. Awesome. Yep. All the Marine Corps is collectively saying hoorah. So that's fantastic. Well, if you just tuned in and you didn't know what you were listening to, this is Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes, here on WSIC News Talk Now. You like the catch line. Yeah. All right. I get $18 every time I
23
say
cent.
that. Yeah. So anyhow, we are really glad that you're here today. We got a great show ahead of you. Imagine yourself that you served in the military, but you grew up racing cars, and then you got out of the military and you decided to start racing cars again. You do that for a living.
He didn't get out of the Marines and started racing cars.
No. He got out of the military.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got out of the Army.
Army,
The
that's
actual
right.
branch of the military.
The branch that knows to go the right direction down
That's
the
correct.
right side of the road.
That's true. Right place, right time.
Well,
right
they
uniform.
won't let the Marines race because they're all scared of us.
No,
Is
is
that
that what
right?
it is?
But I will say, he's
drive
only
like that,
making
they
left-hand
should be.
turns, so
There you go.
he's never wrong because he's never right. He's always left.
Yes, exactly. Oh,
Very
well
nice.
played.
Bad joke of the week.
It's so bad. So bad. Hey, Dale, welcome to the show, and we're really glad you're here. And actually, the reason you're here is because of Devin. So Devin did something good today.
Oh,
so
man.
everybody clap.
Wow.
Yay! All right.
Oh, we couldn't
So
afford the
welcome to the
noise
show,
maker.
brother. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And happy Veterans Day, by the way.
Yes, sir. Happy Veterans Day to y'all.
Yeah. So, hey, tell us a little bit. Give us a little bit of your background, and then why, what was it that led you into serving your country, and what'd you do?
Yeah, so I started out when I was 5 years old. My parents got me into racing cars, and I picked up quarter midget racing, and we went up and down the East Coast racing all kinds of tracks and competing against a lot of the names now that you see on TV on Sundays. And
Did you beat them then?
some of them, sometimes.
Okay. All
Other
right.
times they beat me.
Yeah,
We
right.
went back and forth most of the time.
Okay, got it.
But I mean, it's such a great experience growing up doing that. And once I turned about 12 years old, I learned how to drive a stick shift when I was 12.
Nice.
And hopped behind a quite bigger race car, and started doing that. And I did that until I was about 17 years old. And once I turned 16 and I started having jobs, I worked at, instead of working at like fast food restaurants like most teenagers did, I worked at race shops. I started working with Craftsman truck teams when I was 17, and did that for a while. And after a while, started talking to some recruiters, and
That was your first mistake.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Somebody, they got me, but
Yeah.
I talked to Navy, Marines, and Army, and like I was telling Devin earlier, Army. I was like, hey, like jumping out of planes looks pretty cool.
Right.
That looks like it would get the adrenaline junkie side of me.
Yeah.
Can I do that? And the Marines were like, it's pretty hard to do that. It takes a lot of coordination, this and that. And the Army was like, hey, we'll get you doing it right out of basic training.
Yeah. Right.
And I was
yeah.
like, all right, sign me up.
Yeah, and the Marines were like, yeah, and my gosh, you passed all your tests too, so we're going to send you on over to the Army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, let's be real. How hard is it? You got to take one step, and you got to hold your feet together and just fall like a rock, right?
Yeah. Most of the time, it's not skill based. It's just
Definitely,
having
yeah.
having the bravery to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like I could teach a monkey how to fall out of a plane. It's not too bad.
It's funny. I've been called a mine stomping monkey. I found a landmine or two.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah, I
true.
get it.
That's true.
Army must have a lot of monkeys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No
So,
comment.
what was your MOS? What did you do for a living in the Army?
So I was a 91 Fox, which is a small arms repair. So I worked on everything from like the smallest pistol all the way up to artillery, which I was stationed with.
That's right.
I was stationed with the 1st Special Forces Group, so we didn't have any artillery. Got to do a lot of cool stuff with them. I was able to live in Japan for a couple years, and
Yeah, right.
eventually moved over to Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington, and spent the rest of my time and got to visit a lot of cool places and some not cool places.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of y'all have been to as well. So,
Not cool. Yeah.
but such a great experience overall, and I'm super blessed in my journey.
So you left the military how long ago? When did that happen?
2020.
2020.
is when I was
and so
officially
you
out.
just kind of like, this is a good opportunity to get back into racing. And did you do any racing while you were in the military?
So, yeah, actually, I did. When I moved to Japan, it wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. I was, I got my orders, and I was like, man, it's not really why I wanted to kind of stick around North Carolina and kind of be around family. But it was such a blessing in disguise. But I went over there and realized there's actually a pretty cool drifting scene. And
Oh, no kidding.
so
Yeah.
I started picking up some of my friends, and like, yeah, man, you should get a car. So I got a Nissan 180 and started skidding it around, and trying to stay out of trouble
So
for the most
for
part.
those listening on the radio and live, what is drifting? What does that mean?
It's controlled slide, basically.
Controlled slide.
Yeah, so go into a corner and just go completely sideways.
I've seen John do that, and he's got a new car, I'm sure, that might drift.
I don't know what you're talking
That white
about.
Mustang, I saw it out there.
You just left court, so you should understand.
No,
I
that's
plead
true.
the fifth.
Okay, the fifth.
Yeah,
The fifth.
I think I might like to talk
Not
about
fifth,
John's
not
driving.
fifth gear. Shut up, Devin. All right, you were listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, and we are here with Dale from Dom Motorsports, right?
Yeah, Dom
And,
Motorsports, yeah.
And we are just so thrilled for the show. Special shout out to Chris Benson, certainly a supporter of both Dom Motorsports and Purple Heart Homes, and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
There's more Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
We'll stay live
We
during.
got 10. We are at 10 on Facebook.
Yeah.
10 on Facebook.
Yeah.
We were at 10.
So
and it went to
if you are listening on Facebook, we are in competition with Sheriff Campbell, and Joe, you said our goal is 25 live listeners.
31.
Oh, 31 live
We're at
listeners.
32.
Live listeners.
Yeah,
not,
so
not
share
just
this
on the
right
record.
now. Share it.
Yeah,
You know,
please.
Yeah.
We could require everybody at PHH to just go on their Facebook and watch.
You think that's what
I
the
just-
sheriff's doing? I mean,
I think so.
I think he's
I
got
mean,
about
it's-
300 employees. I don't think we want to go that route. Why are you giving him ideas?
He's
You're
on-
talking about my driving, and now you're giving him ideas. Whose team are you on? Dom, can you please help me? Dale, can you please help me explain teamwork to this Marine?
He doesn't know.
Well, see,
You
he's
left
a
him
political
speak.
figure, and therefore he's not allowed.
All right, now you're really insulting me.
Oh my word.
Lord have mercy.
Killing me, Smalls.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
So I took Devin to Oakwood Middle School today for their Veterans Day brunch.
Did they sign him up for classes?
No, they did not.
They said I didn't qualify. I'd have to take some remedial classes.
He wasn't advanced enough to start there.
He
You're gonna need to go
fit
back.
in stature, but it was the haircut that didn't fit
You're gonna
in.
need to go back, Billy Madison.
You know, I
Wow.
wasn't here last week, which is unfortunate because I have something from the yard sale that you guys might like to see.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh wow, yeah. You gonna play it? Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I forgot all about that.
Is this Devin wearing a Guy Fieri hat?
It is.
It's him having fun with an inflatable.
Oh,
Wait, what? Whoa.
Even though we're on
Context.
Facebook,
Context.
yeah, no.
You can't put that on TV here on
It
radio.
was 1 minute with the
And if you want to
inflatable.
see what happens with the inflatable,
I might
Joe's
say you have
gonna
to
try
pay
get
for
that up
that.
on the
Wow.
next break. So please stay tuned.
Oh my
and,
God.
And,
I hope
you know,
you
This
made
is
some
a
fr-
G-rated show.
I hope you made some friends in the courtroom today,
I
Brad.
did. I'm out
We
of a
might
job.
need help.
Oh my
We're-
gosh.
we might. General Mallory was there today.
Was he?
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, you got it in the car. Oh man.
All right.
All right, we about ready?
Yeah, we're about ready. Yeah, just start at any time.
Poor Justin's going to shut us off.
Oh, yeah.
Days at 5 and Sunday mornings at 7 on WSIC.
Now more Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together with your hosts, John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Wow.
I think we should rename the show Keeping All Four Wheels on the Road. Because I think during that break, we went sideways. We were doing some drifting. We might have cleaned out a ditch, and we was just all over the place.
That was the pieces getting thrown all over the place.
Yeah, that's right. So let's put it all back together.
Yeah, that's pretty
so Dale,
awesome.
let's get back to you. So you come along here. You're in the service. You're in Japan, and you're in the process. You're learning to do road racing essentially, and you're drifting cars, and that's kind of where we left off. Kind of pick up some of your story from there. How did that apply then to the racing that you're doing now?
I mean, drifting teaches so much car control, and really, it was something just kind of keep my mind busy and just to stay stay busy and stay, I guess you could say, on top of my skill. And it's what I grew up doing. It's what I always had done and loved doing. And it was strange to me not being able to do it. And that's one of the main reasons when I went over there, I was really worried because I didn't know if we were allowed to have cars. And I was like, man, like driving is my world. Like I don't know what to do if I can't drive. But luckily, we were, and they had some pretty cool cars over there. So I ended up, I got a Nissan 180, and then eventually bought a GTR, which I sold, which was a terrible decision. But yeah, it was a cool experience, and I learned a lot there.
I find that so interesting. Out of all the guests that we've had on, most guests, they're kind of lost going into the military, right? They're searching for that place and that kind of that belonging and what to do, and then they get in the military, and then when they exit the military, they're kind of in that place that I hear you saying, it's like, man, I don't know what to do, right? I can't follow my passion. But for you, it's kind of the opposite, right? And so you had this passion for racing, but you joined the service. You helped hone that skill in the service, and then eventually you exit the military, and you've made a career out of that original passion. And I just find that so interesting in contrast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And being and I want to piggyback on this because, as we all know, those of us that grew up watching racing in the 70s and 80s, race car drivers at that time did not appear to be athletic at all because they weren't, right? I mean,
they were doing curls. They were just most of them curling a jug of moonshine.
But it's way different now, right? And so I know because of where you served, physical fitness was something that was a priority for every member of the team. How did, and I know you probably worked out at the Thor facility, which is Special Forces gym, basically.
Yep.
But how did what you learned working in that environment, what has that done? You're obviously still training now, right? Because you're pretty fit looking.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't get that very often.
I never get that.
Yeah, I mean, learning things. Even from the physical therapist there. I mean,
correct.
Such great people surround that community, and I was able to learn so much from the Thor facility, and how to stay in shape and ways to even come back from injuries. Like you get in a hard wreck, and so a lot of drivers, it takes a toll on you, especially if you get in a couple back to back, and being able to know those correct stretches and stuff to get back in the car and to 100% being able to drive without being in pain. It's valuable. And from the military as a whole, things carry over a lot more than you would think as far as what translates. So I mean, I'm very big on professionalism at the track. A lot of teams, I don't want to say goof off, or you'll see a lot of them kind of acting up, and I try to hold everybody that comes to the track with us to a higher standard, and we still have a blast. But you won't see us messing with other people's cars, and you won't see like a lot of the shenanigans that go on.
Right.
Like I said, we kind of pride ourselves in trying to be as professional as possible, and also welcoming. So
yeah, absolutely. That's probably something that you learned, working with the guys at First Group, and that culture is a great culture to be around. I know it informed a lot of my life, and so when it comes to racing physically, I'm assuming that most of the tracks you're on, and what series is it in for our listeners? What series do you race in?
Yeah, so it's the Carolina Crate Modified Series, and then we also tour with the Carolina Pro Late Model Series, which if you're in the area, they're actually racing at Hickory tonight in the Fall Brawl. So if you're in the area, go check that out.
Nice. There might be some fights in the stands at the Fall.
There might be some fights on the track for that one. It's always a pretty heated race. So some pretty cool big names in the local racing community are going to be racing there. And Joey Logano, last year's champion, he's going to be actually spotting for typically his spotter in the Cup Series is racing that night. So he's going to be out there.
That's cool.
So Joey's going to trade the helmet in for a headset and go.
Nice.
Go, which I also work with him over at Ford Performance, is what I do full time. So he's a great guy. But yeah, if you're in the area, go to Hickory Motor Speedway. They're racing tonight.
So the tracks you're on are mainly, they're short tracks, pretty much all of them. You're not on anything over a half a mile, I guess.
The only track we go to that's over half a mile would have been North Wilkesboro. That's 5/8 of a mile roughly.
Yeah, right.
That's the biggest one we go to.
Back up just a little bit. Share a little bit about that transition, kind of coming back to the States from Japan and finishing up your service. What was that transition period like for you?
So anybody that's ever been to Japan knows it's a huge culture change. It takes quite a bit to get acclimated and learn a little bit of the language, just enough to even get around. And it was interesting for sure coming back, and you kind of get back in the swing of things of being around American civilians, and it's like, man, it's a lot different. But eventually figure it out and get back in the swing of being in the States. But then soon after I got back, I had left and went to Afghanistan in 2018. So that was good experience overall. I think no matter what happens, I think anytime you learn from something, it can be a good experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was 6-month deployment over there?
6 months, about March to October or September.
Were you out away from Bagram, or were you out at a with a team? Or
Yeah, so I was actually with an ODB out in Camp Dalkey, which is, I forgot what it used to be called back before they it was a pretty large base before, and they kind of tore it apart during the original big cut down out there, and then kind of built it back up to what it was. But it was Camp Dalkey when I was there, and that was a pretty remote place. It was also called Rocket City. We were constantly about almost every day taking incoming rockets and mortars coming from the Taliban.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't help but think, we had some races while we were downrange in Iraq.
You did?
Yeah, we we captured all kinds of little critters and insects and spiders. We even had fights, right? We would stage the camel spiders, and the
put
scorpion.
Put them in a bucket.
But we liked catching the hedgehogs too. They were kind of neat little creatures.
There was we had a lot of foxes.
Yeah,
there were a lot of foxes that were running around, and the veterinary corps had a station there in central Iraq, and there were evidently a lot of soldiers feeding the foxes, and so they were putting out this messaging: don't feed the foxes, right? And so they decided to do a rabies awareness run, right? This actually happened. So if you've watched The Office, right? There's a show called The Office. They had a rabies awareness run. We actually did that in Iraq, and but it was at the same time the show was on, so nobody knew about it. It was just serendipitous. And I actually ran in the rabies awareness run, and I have a T-shirt.
You have a T-shirt from the rabies awareness
and it
run?
has a guy running from a fox on the shirt, and it says "Run for your life."
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very good. Only on a deployment would you ever have anything like that.
Brings so many different songs to mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, what was it like for you? Like, so you go, you're working in the SF world. You go to Afghanistan, Then finally one day you're like, okay, my enlistment period's coming up. I'm not going to re-enlist. How weird was it taking the uniform off and, just going back into Walmart as a regular dude back here in North Carolina? Because you're from Mooresville, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm from Mooresville originally, and it was an experience. So actually, when I first got out of the military, one of the things that led me to that decision after I did 2 contracts. So I did re-enlist the one time. They got me, but dangled a little money. Yeah, they dangled a little money in front of me. And I was like, I guess I'll stay another 3 years. And so after that, I decided, I was like, man, I worked with a lot of contractors downrange, and I was like, that stuff looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then I also had a family at this point.
Right.
And I was like, well, they have stateside contractors too. So I was like, I work with a stateside contractor back at home now.
Yeah.
Or not now, but back when I was at JBLM, and I was like, I could do a job like that, and that'd be pretty awesome. So I started looking into that, and I ended up getting a job with Asymmetric Warfare Group.
Oh, yeah.
When they were still around. And I went and dove into the contractor world. And that was a struggle in itself. I think I struggled a lot with my transition initially. And that's kind of, I think, what led me back to racing is I kind of just went back to what I loved. And I think it helped the idle hands, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
it makes perfect sense.
So went back to what I loved and started doing a little bit more of that, and then a little bit more and a little bit more. And then one day I decided, I was like, man, I'm gonna go do this
Well,
for real.
I certainly want to hear more about your transition and some of those struggles. That I think that's one of the commonalities, right? We've all had so many different experiences, but in some way, whether it's a job, a connection to the family, whether it's the VA, whether it's housing, right? We all have different struggles, and we really just rely on the community, our churches, our family, our friends, our neighbors to be able to have some understanding and be able to connect. I'd like to hear more when we get back from our quick break here from our sponsors about how you made that transition and where you found your support group. But you are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together here live on WSIC News Talk Now.
$18.
Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders will return after this short break on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Trying to get this done.
Oh man! So you're over there just sending message after message. Hey, come listen to our radio show.
I'm not even doing that. I'm just sending them the show.
Just sending the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just straight up sending the show. Yeah.
So did you have the video for us there,
The
Joe?
video had no audio.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sure either way, video or audio, a minute of Devin and an inflatable could only be comical.
Well, there it is, right there on the screen for you.
Oh my goodness! How about that? That is perfect.
Yeah. Man.
You.
I can't believe the audio one didn't come out. That's terrible.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't start licking them, thinking they were edible.
I took that home with me.
Yeah.
That's your own
Took the
private
inflatable home
little
with you?
shed.
Yeah. I put that in the backyard.
That's your play area.
Yeah, I'm gonna move out there. I'm just looking for an excuse.
That's
You know.
too funny.
Oh, yeah. I went next time I make the wife mad. I'm moving into my crayon house. You know.
So John is feverishly inviting people to watch the Facebook live feed because we're trying to beat Sheriff Darren Campbell's live feed record on WSIC News Talk Now's Facebook stream feed. And he had a total of 31, which was the record for live. And we're at 20 now. So John is feverishly inviting people.
Yeah.
Invite people that like you, John.
Oh, well, that's impossible. I don't have none of those. So, Dale, tell us while we're here on our break, what's like been your coolest racing experience? What's like the memory that stands out to you? It's like, was it a victory? Was it a wreck? Was it power sliding across the finish line? What was that like?
Oh man, that's hard. There's so many of them. I think honestly, the last race, well, not the last race this year. The last race of the point season this year was probably the most memorable one. Not because it's the most like recent, but it was just winning the championship and having the crew around me and celebrating victory.
How
was
many
awesome.
other drivers compete in that series?
So it kind of varies. We like I said at Wilkesboro we had 50 cars show up and then 35 qualified.
Okay.
So
wow.
they eliminated 15 cars and guys came from Canada, New York,
No kidding.
Florida, and got sent packing after the first half of the day because they didn't qualify.
No kidding.
So pretty heartbreaking for those guys.
No
they just
kidding.
weren't fast enough. So
Yeah.
So how many of those guys are like pro guys, like the guys that you would see on what is it currently Nextel Cup or Bush or whatever?
Nextel Cup?
What I don't know.
You're going back.
That's like
some
6
years.
sponsors ago.
Let's talk about
Nextel's not even a thing.
Winston Cup.
Winston Cup. Yeah.
Cigarette Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, so and we don't have any current Cup drivers. Typically, I mean, like I say, I work with Cup drivers day in and day out, and their schedules are so taken up by the Cup Series and their responsibilities. They have no room for any outside racing. Minus like Kyle Larson obviously goes out there and races.
Yeah.
200 races a year, whatever he does. It's crazy stuff. But yeah, we don't have any that currently race with us full time like that. It's just not the time for it. But I mean, there is a lot of guys that consider themselves, professional. That's what they do all day, like that's their job is they go racing, which I'm very envious of them. Yeah, they're out there for sure, and yeah, we race against them and beat them sometimes. So
you're doing how many races a year?
Last year we did 12.
Okay.
Wow. And what's the average length of a race for you? 1 minute.
So typically our races are anywhere from like 50, let's go 50, like 50 to 75 laps.
Okay.
Sometimes like the bigger ones will make 100 or whatever, but yeah, that's typically
And what's your worst fear in a race? Like what is motor blowing up, tire blowing out, something happening to somebody in front of you? I
don't think I have any. I don't.
No, that's right.
In that
Race car
moment,
driver.
in the moment, yeah, I don't think I really
Yeah.
have any fears.
30 seconds? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that in the next segment.
I definitely want to pick up the part about the transition struggles
go ahead.
too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, where are we at on our listeners?
13.
13.
No
yeah,
way.
they dropped
Yeah,
off.
13.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I think
Devin, you start inviting people.
Maybe I'll
doing
quit.
better.
Maybe I'll quit talking and y'all do all that.
Putting the pieces back together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC. We've got
News
with
talk
us.
now.
Hey,
So what are y'all going to
he's
split the
trying to
$18 now?
Look, I need the $18, Brad. What are you doing to me? What is going on? It's $1? Oh, well, you can
For
have
you.
Brad. It's fine. So we're here with our guest, Dale Ogborn, and he is a racer extraordinaire, champion of the Carolina Crate Series.
Yeah, that's right. Carolina Crate Modified Series.
Carolina Crate Modified Series. That's too many words. I'm not that bright.
Call it
So,
CCMS. Make it short.
Yeah, there you go. Shut it down for you there, Dev.
I do appreciate that.
Marines.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you too, huh?
Playing along.
Well, before we get back into it, do we want to do the project of the week?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, so hey, just this past week, I went down to Greenville, South Carolina, and there was a veteran out there that
Out there.
Okay. Yeah,
Awesome.
I always got to say one of those things.
Yeah. Down there.
it-
Out there. Up
Brad
there.
Just
can't
stay
help
over
himself.
yonder.
Over yonder. Yeah, over yonder. Down the road a piece.
There you go.
Anyways, in Greenville, and this veteran, we've talked about him before, but we're not going to mention his name because the thing is, we went out there with Home Depot, and they were doing Operation Surprise. And at the beginning of Operation Surprise, when they went with me to meet this veteran with Tim Bates, and shout out Tim Bates, the project manager of this.
No name Bates.
No name Bates. The veteran was very lucid and knew everything that was going on. Funny guy. Used to be a writer, and just in the past the 2 weeks from when we went from when we went there the other day, he had just started. Well, his cognitive abilities started falling.
Wow.
And his wife wasn't sure if they needed the wheelchair ramp at one point, but as she saw how fast he was going, she realizes now that this is really going to be a blessing that ramp's out front. But more importantly, it just shows that we don't know how long we have.
That's true.
And so if you've got a veteran in your life that you haven't talked to, you don't know their story, ask them now, because
For sure.
you might not have a tomorrow.
Devin, what is Operation Surprise?
Operation Surprise is something that Home Depot does with many of their locations. They go out there and they just do a project with veterans, hands-on. They pay for it. They swing the hammers, and they're just a great grant partner and a good partner for veterans. They want to do good things for the community, and so. Thank you, Home Depot, for supporting us, And thank you for supporting this veteran. And if you want to help veterans, go to phhusa.org. There's many ways you can help, both monetarily and physically.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
You help the way you can.
Well, let me tell you, I talked to a veteran yesterday, and he put in an application. We've got in the last 5 days, we've gotten over 100 applications.
Oh yeah,
right. I mean, it's just been unreal. We got an application from a young guy in Idaho, Air Force veteran, that has had some water damage because of a deck that was applied to his house that perhaps wasn't flashed properly. And has rotted the walls in his house. And as I got to talking to him, I was like, "Well, I said we gotta stop the water intrusion, right?" And he was like, "Well, I can't really do that because I'm in a wheelchair." And I'm like, "My gosh, man!" I said, "I'm really sorry." I said, "Do you mind telling me how that happened?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "When I was enlisted, I got sick, and I went to the doctor, and they thought I had some type of infection in my spinal cord." And they put a needle in his back and botched it and put him in a wheelchair.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
I mean, it was just, I was breaking my heart, to talk to this dude on the phone yesterday. And I just want everybody to know that because we have this like nationwide footprint, we get calls and emails like that every day of the week.
Absolutely.
Every single day of the week. These are not people trying to bilk a system. They're not trying to get over on anybody. They're just at their wits' end because something bad happened, and then they've got all these other things going on in their lives. But I will tell you this, man, this dude was like, his attitude it reminded me of Kyle Carpenter, who was a Medal of Honor recipient that we got to hear speak yesterday, who has just got this amazing outlook on life and lost an eye, and he got all blown up jumping on a grenade to save his buddy. This guy had the same, perspective on life that Kyle does, and I was really honored to be able to speak with him on the phone. And so, if folks are listening and you're interested in help us out, man, go to phhusa.org and get involved.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to add, and just this idea and notion of adapting and overcoming, and how we perceive each other as veterans, helping each other out. Don't allow your buddy to wait until it's too late. If there's a risk that they're going to need to be in a wheelchair, or you're seeing them already struggle getting up steps to get in and out of their home, or just have that conversation. Do some pre-planning. It's a lot better to pre-plan and get that ramp before you actually need it, to do that bathroom modification before it's too late, and then you're struggling crawling into your bathroom for weeks or months before it happens.
For sure.
And so please do that. And there's all types of different veteran events that are going on right now, and so we're going to be doing a book signing at Richard's Coffee Shop tonight. I'll be there with Wounded Homecoming. We've also got Steve Zagley. His book, They Are Only Gone If They Are Forgotten. I think that's so appropriate for this conversation. Again, John Headley, he's going to be there with his two books, Saddle Up and From the Shadows. Ralph Dagenhart, his book, Pop Smoke. And then you've got the Happy Table, which is a group of veterans that are based there out at the Well, they're more than happy. They're the Happy Table, and they've got their book, Stories of War and Conflict. And then there's going to be a special speaker from the 82nd Airborne Division, 505th Combat Team, who is going to be there speaking about the original members of the 505th Combat Team. And so that's certainly one you don't want to miss. I got a call first thing this morning from General Schwanek, who is the commander of the 82nd Airborne. And he was so excited. He's going to be there to listen to the speaker. And
nice.
And I'm not sure if he's there to authenticate, but he's certainly there
100%.
to make sure that they're telling the right story.
He's going to correct things.
If you get an
for
opportunity,
sure.
just to plug, Richard's Coffee Shop, Welcome Home Vets, is one of the show's sponsors here on Putting the Pieces Back Together. Yep. And so please take time to come down and see us, 5:30 to 8 p.m., book signing, speaker, something you don't want to miss.
Prom week for veterans, man.
Yep, it is fantastic. And again, just to give a shout out to the Marines for their birthday. And
Hoorah.
Man,
Hoorah.
I don't know why you say that, Brad.
Hoorah.
Yeah, are you an honorary Marine?
No, I'm mocking Devin.
Oh, you're mocking. Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm only mocking.
What I heard, Paul, when we were filming out in Texas for Military Makeover, which, by the way, give a plug for that show, airs on Lifetime
Tomorrow morning.
It's going to be premiering tomorrow morning on Lifetime at 7 p.m. And that's a Military Makeover for the Dallas, Texas edition. And so Paul's out there in the final reveal, and he's saying, "Oorah, rah, rah."
No,
rah,
he
rah.
wasn't.
He did, I
No,
swear.
he was
the,
not.
the cheerleaders
No, he
were out
was
there
not.
with their pom-poms, and Paul was going, rah, rah,
No,
rah.
no, he was not.
rah,
Is that on video?
It's on video.
Oh,
It's
my
on video.
God.
It's
Can't
proof.
wait.
You've got to watch
Can't
the
wait.
show to see it.
I don't believe it. I'm going to have to
I'm
watch
going to
it.
put it on TikTok.
Yep. Yep. It is worth watching. I promise. Yep.
Awesome.
I promise. So we got 30 seconds. Hey, look, when we come back, we're gonna put all the attention right back on Dale. He is used to being in the front. He's a race car driver with DOM Motorsports, and we're gonna put all the pressure on him to share about his reintegration, the challenges, struggles, and victories that he's had over the last several years. So
Stay
you don't
live
want to
on
miss
Facebook,
it.
too.
Stick with us. Be right back.
More Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders coming up on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
We are so close to taking down the sheriff.
Are we?
No,
I think we're
I
going
just-
backwards.
I
Well,
just,
we're
I just
18,
signed
we're-
off.
oh.
Hang on, I'll sign
I
back
signed
in.
back on. So if you have Joe, go ahead and sign on so we can get you on there.
If you get
So
to 30, I'll sign
if
up.
you're watching,
Oh, okay. That's what it is. Help us get to 30 so Joe will sign
just
on.
help us get
That's
to
right.
30. If you're watching on
That means we're at
Facebook,
a
please
tie
share
at
this
that
with
point.
your friends so that we can beat Sheriff Darren
Better than a
Campbell.
loss.
We just have to beat the sheriff in something.
Oh, and Devin just uninvited our boss from the bourbon tasting.
What?
I mean, Devin, you don't want to get us all
Uninvited?
fired. Yes, what he said.
He was calling my crayon a she shed.
Well, that's what it is. Oh, really? She
He
shed.
called it a she shed.
That's awesome.
Hurt my feelings a little bit. I bet you didn't know Marines
Oh,
had
there's
look at
another
that.
picture of it.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Can you put that on the Facebook feed?
Oh my
It's on
gosh.
the Facebook feed.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
I
Oh,
see it
there
right
it
there.
is. Look
Yeah.
at Devin.
Yeah.
Oh, and his
Oh,
giant.
look at there. Dave said
Devin
Andy's going to
shoes.
take care of him. See how fast you can replace a
She
Marine
said,
with Army?
Wow. You know,
That's pretty quick.
That is wonderful. Man, I am so glad you put that up, Joe. That
well,
is
you know, I'm
very
not known
descriptive.
for my procurement skills. It's more of the destructive portion
That's
of being
awesome,
loud.
man. That is a great picture. It's so perfect. It is a giant crayon house for the Marine.
It is.
It is
You
so
know
good.
what? We should have some sort of event where we bring in that crayon house.
Well, how about the Marine Corps birthday?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's tomorrow.
Let's not say we did.
Let's-
So I want to turn back to our guest here. So Dale, I'm curious as I'm just sitting here thinking about your story, processing through, as I'm sure so many of our listeners are as well. Was there somebody, just a mentor or somebody that encouraged you in the racing? Was there somebody in the military that encouraged you to get into racing? To continue to pursue it? What was that like for you?
To get back into it, I don't think there was anybody really pushing me to get back into it. It was mainly just
That was you.
it was myself, and I think a lot of it when I got the current job I have now with Ford Performance, just being around it all the time and really realizing like, man, I really miss this. And
What do you do for them?
so I'm a simulator technician, and then I also do some development driving for them as well.
Like
So
simulator, like the driving simulator.
Yep. So
Yeah.
that, like the Cup drivers will come in during the week and
yeah.
and kind of help
Do some
develop
practicing.
some of their setups.
Yeah. Okay.
So
15.
Oh, that's
All right, we're gonna go
really
back
cool.
live. Okay. That's awesome. I bet you've raced again. Do you do some online racing too?
sometimes.
Call now to speak with John Gallina and Brad Borders at 704-873-1400. It's Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC.
Hey, you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes here on WSIC
New
News
Talk
Talk
Now.
Now. $18. That's right.
Now we got a competition.
I
going.
know. He ran ahead
He's
of me.
gonna always
Bring
win.
a
my
racer into the show, and
my
next
God.
thing you know,
Everybody's
we're competing
racing.
on who to speak
Everybody's
first.
racing.
You
Yeah.
ain't bumping, you ain't racing.
Yeah, it's a comedy of errors going on as
not-
You
usual.
ain't rubbing, you ain't
Rubbing.
racing.
That's right.
Rubbing
If
is
you, did he
racing.
say if you ain't bumping, you ain't racing?
That's what he said.
Oh, have mercy. We gotta start writing these down. Do you know what we have at the?
Oh, yeah.
We
The
have a
ism
book of
book.
isms.
We need to bring it and read the isms.
Yeah,
books.
we
All the
have.
Charlie
We will
isms would
bring
be
the
a
book
whole
of
show.
isms in. The sacred book of isms are things that are said around Purple Heart Homes that should not be said, and we write them down and date them. So, bumping is racing is going in on today's episode. So.
All right, so we only got about 10 minutes left here. I want to quickly turn to Dale, and so Dale, you had said there before one of our last breaks about some of the challenges in reintegration. And would you mind sharing a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, I mean, so it's always hard. I left my final duty station in JBLM and left an amazing group of guys that, to be honest, is an irreplaceable thing that you can never replace. Like the quality of people I was around, and just having all of them at one time was like incredible. And then when you get taken away from that, but you still stay in contact with them, and so you still kind of have that bond with them, but you're not around it all the time, and it's hard. And you move, asymmetric warfare group was nowhere around my family, and I didn't have any friends in the area, so like I had really it was me and my wife and my two sons. So other than that, like we didn't have any, she didn't have any friends, I didn't have any friends. So definitely struggled there, and eventually we did end up moving back into North Carolina for that reason, and amongst other things, asymmetric warfare group closed down, so that kind of took away my contracting job there, and so we came back here to be closer to family. And
Your wife from here?
No, my wife. Me and my wife actually met in the military.
Okay.
She was stationed at JBLM as well.
Oh, no kidding.
So
What'd
she's in Pennsylvania.
What'd she do in the military?
So she was Signal. I can't remember her exact MOS.
Okay.
But yeah, she was Signal. But the way we actually met was she was a gate guard. She was
No
on like
kidding.
a detail to be a gate guard.
No kidding.
And I saw this cute little gate guard from like 3 lanes
like,
over,
"Hey,
and like
what's
I
up?"
cut a bunch of trucks off to like get
Yeah.
over there.
Hey, here's my
Started
ID.
applying all the tactics of asymmetric
See my name?
warfare.
This is my
the
name.
old gate.
Yeah. And so she looks at me and she's like, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, "Oh, I just wanted to talk to you." And I was
What?
like,
You said that
yeah.
out loud?
Oh yeah. I was
Whoa,
all
that
all
is
into it.
That's nice.
brave. I am impressed.
Yeah, in uniform,
and
that
I-
is brave.
I still had a bunch
Yeah.
of angry people behind me
Of
because I
course.
just cut them all off. But,
Yeah.
but I was okay with that.
And she was impressed with that.
Did
Oh,
you,
yeah.
did you
I
tell
don't know
them that
about
you knew
that,
how to
but-
race, and that's how you swerved over? You were showing her your skills?
yeah.
What's up, girl?
Yeah.
How you doing?
yeah. She yells at me for those same skills on the road today.
You need a ride?
That is amazing, right? And she bought it hook, line, and sinker because you got a wedding ring on,
Yeah,
bro,
yeah,
and
yeah, she
kids,
sure did,
right?
yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
Good
she
for
dropped the
you.
ball on that one.
Yeah. Good for you. So you now have a racing team. You own it. You operate it. You're the driver. You got a crew, and you guys travel around the Southeast pretty much and race a 12-race season, basically. And this year you won the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, we were really fortunate to be able to go out there and in our inaugural season and win the points championship. And I mean, I can't thank everybody that helped me this year, crew wise and sponsor wise, enough. Especially my crew chief Roger. He was, he dialed in that thing all year and just kept making it faster and faster and faster. And eventually by the end of the year, and we were pretty dominant. And it was a amazing time. I'm looking forward to doing even more of it next
So
year.
like other dudes were showing up at the track and go, "Daggum, Dale's here.
I don't know about that.
Dale's here. I
Yeah.
gotta figure out something with that guy, man. That guy's driving a rocket ship."
I think they were surprised because at the beginning of
Yeah.
the season we were there. We were like,
Who's the new guy?
yeah, mid-pack car,
Yeah,
not too
right.
fast. And
Right.
we started showing up, and they're like, "Where's this?"
Yeah. Where'd he come from?
So
Yeah.
let me interject a quick plug here for you. You do take sponsors, and so if there's somebody out there that's into racing that'd like to sponsor a veteran-owned car and driver,
Absolutely, man.
they can reach out to you where?
You can reach out to me. You can go to DaleOgrenMotorsports.com, or you can reach out on my Facebook page or Instagram or however you'd like, and get in contact with me, and I'd love to work out something with any companies. And we're blessed to have the companies that we do now, and the majority of them being veteran owned.
Yeah.
Speaking of my veteran companies, I actually brought something for y'all from K-Bar Soap Company.
What?
Another
Oh, yeah.
marine-owned company for Devon.
Oh, look
Yeah,
at this.
Devin, you do not
Are
eat
you,
this. This is not for
now you're
consumption.
giving us soap. Are you saying?
Devin asked the same thing earlier.
Yeah.
Nothing against y'all. That's always the hard thing I give
want
people.
to draw something here to you about your racing. A little conversation we were having a little bit ago while we were off there. This idea of you come in first in the season, right? But you were sharing that there were some races where you were like, if we don't come in first or second, we're not going to have the funds to go to the next race. And then I later asked you, kind of what was your fear, right? And while you're on the track, and you're like, I don't have a fear. But when your back's against the wall, you're all out, right? And so, this notion of your service and just your dedication, your focus, it all plays in and kind of comes together. Do you kind of like get in a zone and you're just tunnel focused on the race? What is that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what, my mind is surprisingly very clear. That's honestly the one time my mind is very clear is when I'm driving the race car, and because you're only really focused on one thing, and that's being faster and either catching or passing the car in front of you, or staying out in front of you, or in front of the car behind you. So it's very mind clearing being out there and being able to stay out front and try to get out front. It's the best I feel pretty much anytime.
What do you do for? And we all talk about physical fitness, right? It's obviously physically demanding to drive. What do you do for mental fitness? Because your brain is obviously in play, reaction time. Do you have some specific things you do to train your brain to be quicker, make your decision making more precise and quicker?
Probably more about training his bladder to be able to sit that long.
So I have my wife always says I have a lot of hobbies. I also do a little bit of virtual racing on like iRacing.com and all that. And it helps stay sharp on top of just being around other people that you don't know, and just kind of keep staying alert and kind of predicting somebody's next move without really knowing it. So I mean that's one thing, and I like to do a good amount of shooting and stuff like that, and so that helps with your reaction time. And
sure,
I do it kind of in a competitive nature, even though I'm not competing with anybody, just mostly myself.
We got the IDPA shooting the Palmetto Gun Club next week.
Next week,
yeah. I'm gonna take you down there, and you'll be the ringer for us.
There you go.
Yeah, I can try. Yeah.
There you go.
We like that.
So going forward, you've won a championship. What's the plans? What's your goals for the next 5 years? Do you have any?
I don't think I have any long term like that. I think mainly just next year is to be able to race a full season again with the Carolina Crate Modified Series. That's still not 100% if we're going to be able to do that. It's mainly dependent on funding.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of same thing with my other goals. I'd like to get in as many race cars as possible that are different. So I'd like to get in a touring modified, which is it's about the same car, a little bit bigger engine, bigger tires. I'd like to run a Pro Late model next year. I think I have plans to run a Legend car next year, which is just, it's
cool.
kind of like, I don't want to call it a step down, but it's a smaller car. It's just kind of something fun to do, and just try to stay on the track as much as I can, and just get as much experience as I can, and just go out and have fun.
That is really cool. You know what I love about this K-Bar soap? Is that it is exactly 5.56 ounces.
Oh, that's awesome.
Freedom.
And the name of it is Napalm in the AM.
Yeah. And don't quote me on this. I think this one, if you look at the packaging, it's 7.62 ounces.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. Mine's cash
right.
sales. Oh, yours is...
this is the heavy version.
Yeah, so it's actually in the shape of a grenade.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I like that. That is really cool.
Are they all grenades?
No, the square. Those are just the regular square versions.
Each one's named something different. See, this one's cash sales.
Cash sales.
Do they smell? Yeah, they all smell different.
Napalm.
Wow. So where can folks buy this at?
So you can go to kbarsoapcompany.com or kbarsoapco.com and buy from there. Or actually, right now, if you're in the Charlotte area, he's actually at the Southern Christmas Show in Charlotte.
Oh, no kidding.
I'll send my wife by his booth.
Oh yeah, so he has some great products there, and hopefully we're gonna have a race car sitting in there next year, as long as we can keep it together in one piece.
That is fantastic. Well, Dale, we can't thank you enough for being on the show today. It's been great.
Yeah,
Happy
absolutely.
Veterans Day to you, brother.
And best of luck to the next racing season. Please stay in touch with us. We'd love to come out and visit you out on a race and out on a track and see what you got going on.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to do that, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. Happy Marine Corps birthday and happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day.
And thank you for listening to News Talk Now.
Ooh.
WSIC News
WSIC.
Talk.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you didn't
this is
get.
why I don't get
You didn't get the $18.
We're gonna keep training him, Chad.
I know.
We're gonna
We're
keep
getting
working
there.
on him.
We're getting
Tune
there.
in next week to see and hear more of Devin's blunders.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, brought to you by Purple Heart Homes. Please consider making a donation to this worthwhile cause dedicated to improving the lives of veterans one home at a time by visiting purplehearthomesusa.org. Join us again next Thursday at 3 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC News Talk Now.